Hello everyone, this year starts our series on Pirkei Avot, which is very exciting, and we're just going to start with a general introduction and some background information on Pirkei Avot about what are its goals, where is it placed, and what makes it so unique, because Pirkei Avot is in fact unique. Pirkei Avot is one of the Masechtas of the Mishnah. It is one of the tractates of the Mishnah. There are 63 tractates, and Pirkei Avot is the only one that does not deal with Jewish law. The Mishnah, in general, is a brief compendium of all of Jewish law in every matter, be it for the Moadim, right, for the Jewish holidays, for the marital relationship between men and women and how that works, as well as for brachas and for the agricultural cycle in the Jewish year. It covers everything. Pirkei Avot does not. There are no halachas. There are no laws located in Pirkei Avot. Instead, it deals with agarta, which are either stories or generally sayings of our sages, of Chazal, right? And that's what Pirkei Avot is there for. It's to glean not the halachas, but milei de chasiduta, right? How to go above and beyond the letter of the law. And that is actually important because, as Rabbi Mordechai Becher says, a society that bases itself exclusively on law is just going to degenerate into total chaos. A society must be bound by something more than laws. There has to be some underlying ethos to bind everyone together. And in fact, I can't imagine this is going to happen often, but I will quote two past presidents of the United States. And here's what they said, just to really show how this is a common idea. It's a universal idea. A society must be bound in more than just laws. And here's what John F. Kennedy said in his inaugural address. This is a famous quote. He said, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." Now, he's not quoting a specific statute. He's not quoting the Constitution. He's just giving the general ethos. A person should see what he can do for a society instead of always trying to chop everything he possibly can. Right? That's one of the general ethoses. You can take other messages you want out of it, but clearly JFK is not quoting a specific law. He's quoting the overall theme that he wanted to impart onto the citizens of the United States. But moreover, and JFK was a Democrat, but this is also articulated by Republicans. The former president George W. Bush, right, Bush Jr., quoted his father in a eulogy for his father. And George W. Bush said that his father, in his inaugural address, said the following. I'm quoting verbatim, and he said like this: "We cannot hope only to leave our children a bigger car, a bigger bank account. We must hope to give them a sense of what it means to be a loyal friend, a loving parent, a citizen who leaves his home, his neighborhood, and town better than he found it. What do we want the men and women who work with us to say when we are no longer there? That we were more driven to succeed than anyone around us? Or that we stopped to ask if a sick child had gotten better and stayed a moment to trade a word of friendship?" So again, we see these two themes from JFK, from Bush Sr., that they aren't quoting specific statutes when it comes to saying what is the overall ethos, what is the theme that we want going into the presidency. It's about more than just laws, and that is critically important. Pirkei Avot is not just about the law. There is something that also goes beyond the letter of the law. There is something that is almost more important and more ingrained into it. And in fact, Rav Bernstein quotes another very famous statement in the Gemara that says like this: "Kol hashon halachot b'chol yom muftach lo shu ben haolam haba shenemar halichot olam lo al tikre halichot ela halachot." Whoever learns halachos every day is assured that he is destined for the world to come. As it says, the ways of the world are his. Right? Halichot olam lo. Read not halichot, ways, but rather halachot, laws. And so Rav Bernstein asks, well, what is the meaning of this teaching? Or are we saying that just because you observe the halacha that things are going to go, just because you learn the halacha doesn't necessarily mean you'll actually keep the halacha? And moreover, what is the connection between halichot, ways, and halachot, laws? Rav Bernstein quotes Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, and he says there are two ways to learn halacha. One is as a set of laws that hopefully you'll keep, but nothing we can do to force you. Or, it is also possible, and here I'm quoting Rav Bernstein verbatim, it is also possible to understand that contained within the laws of the halachos are halichos, ways. The values and principles which form the basis of the halacha should ultimately form the basis of the way in which a person does everything. That is the message the Gemara is looking to communicate. When a person, when is a person assured that his learning of halacha is setting him on a path to the world to come, when he relates the halachos as halichos, as the ways to go about his life. So again, when we're learning Mishnah, every other tractate, we're dealing with laws. Laws are critically important, and if we learn the laws correctly, it'll also teach us how to live life. However, Pirkei Avot comes to give us a little bit more, to almost secure our place, to make sure we have a proper perspective when it comes to the way we live. Now, in terms of where Pirkei Avot is placed, interestingly, if a person would think, Pirkei Avot, it's dealing about how to go above and beyond the letter of the law, you think it should begin, right, at the beginning of the Talmud, right? I mean, if you want to get that proper orientation, then you do it immediately. At the end of the day, like we just said, the presidents, when did they quote this? Not in the middle of their presidency, 2 years in. They quoted it in their inaugural address. That's the thing they wanted to set the tone of their presidency. However, Pirkei Avot is not at the beginning of the Talmud. In fact, it's not even at the beginning of a specific seder of the Mishnah. It's in Nezikin, and it's in the middle, or even towards the end. Now, why? Why are we waiting so long to teach Pirkei Avot? So says Rav Mordechai Becher. There's one point I'll quote specifically, and one I just kind of gleaned from, I thought, the tone of what he was trying to say. So the first is this. It goes in the same track as Sanhedrin. It goes in the same Seder of Mishnah as Sanhedrin. Masechet Sanhedrin deals with the laws of the court, right? The laws of judges. Now, why? Because it's to teach us that as terrible as it is when an individual does something wrong, right? Makes a mistake, does something terrible. That's terrible. That's very bad. We don't want private citizens doing the wrong thing, right? That sets a bad example. However, if a leader does something wrong, or the system as a whole is found to be something wrong, then that could cause a complete disaster, as unfortunately we are experiencing when a judge or a politician, or unfortunately even a police officer, someone who represents the state, who represents the system, does something wrong, that can cause total havoc on society. And therefore Avot is placed specifically in the same Seder of Mishnah as Sanhedrin, in order to exhort those people in particular to go above and beyond the letter of the law. Do more than you're supposed to, not less. And another possible reason is specifically in the context of Nezikin, because it's important to hear these messages. Nezikin is dealing with Bava Kama and Bava Metzia and Bava Batra, right? All these ways of damaging other people, our relationships with other people. And so specifically when we're trying to set the tone of, instead of knowing exactly like how much damage can I really inflict on somebody before I'm liable, learn Pirkei Avot, right? If before you start going on down that road, make sure you get the proper orientation for dealing with others. And actually, in Bava Kama specifically, on Lamed Amud Aleph, there's again another famous statement of the Gemara that says, Amar Rav Yehuda, Hai man debai lemihave chasida. Says Rav Yehuda, a person who wants to be a chassid just means a person who wants to go above and beyond the letter of the law. Likayim milei denizikin. Perform, right? Do the words, the matters of a nizikin. Rava Omar, milei de'avot. But Rava says, no, it's milei de'avot. However, avot is within nizikin, and there's a very important maharal that kind of set the tone for what we're about to see. Namely, why is being a chassid attached to nizikin, right? Hi, man, chazida likayim milei denizikin. That seems very strange. If we're going to say, if you really want to be a chassid, make sure you don't damage other people. That seems weird. Well, generally when we think of chassidut, right, of chesed, we think of acts of loving kindness. It's positive actions. We're bringing them food. We're taking care of them. We're visiting the sick. It's doing something active and positive. Why is chassidut related to this idea of not damaging other people? So says the Maharal, really when a person gives, that's actually, a specific point in time. A person needs to kind of go out of their way to do an act of chesed. However, one can always be careful about their things. Namely, a person, can damage other people with their car, with their property, with their person as they're moving quickly or rudely or brusquely. And so if you really want to be a chassid, says Maharal, it's specifically likayim milei denizikin. Make sure not to damage other people. Because it's nice. It's very nice to give people other nice things. It's also nice? Making sure you don't cause damage to other people. That is chassidut. And that is also a critical message of Pirkei Avot. And to see that a person who wants to be a chassid, it's important to see how we act, how we behave, how we manage our property, how we deal with every matter of the world, in creating the most pleasant atmosphere, going beyond and above the letter of the law. And that's how we'll end. Next week we'll actually begin Rambam's Shmona Prakim. It's a classic work of Rambam. Rambam also wrote a Pirush on the Mishnayot, on all of the Mishnayot. However, he wrote a special introduction to Pirkei Avot. It's 8 chapters long, which is why it's called the Shemona Prakim, and that is where we're going to begin next week.